So everybody knows that It 2017 is the greatest horror remake of all time, right? But it's a remake of a very well-known property. And the original was so iconic that it still stands on its own. But did you know there were some remakes that were so iconic and overshadowed the original so much that people either forgot or didn't even know they were a remake? So here's 5 horror remakes that you probably didn't know were a remake. Everybody knows about The Hills Have Eyes from 2006, right? Damn Good Movie is definitely a 2000s horror staple. But what a lot of people don't know, and myself included, because I didn't know this at first, is that it's actually a remake of a movie that came out in 1977 by the same name, and this movie was directed by Wes Craven. 7 years before he created Freddy Krueger, he created them. The Crazies from 2010. One of my favorite like zombie infected people type movies. But what a lot of folks don't know is that this movie was also a remake of an old film that was also directed by a horror legend. The first Crazies came out in 1973 and it was directed by George A. Romero. And see, people love to blame the 2000s for why we get so many remakes, but in actuality, with the horror genre at least, we've actually been getting remakes since like the 80s, because The Thing from 1982, John Carpenter's The Thing, is such a legendary like classic banger of a movie to the point where I would even consider it top 10 of the whole decade. Is actually a remake of a movie from 1951, but the original film had the full title called The Thing from Another World. The 1982 version of The Thing actually caused this movie to spike in popularity, and even though it came out in 1951, it's actually a pretty good movie. 1988's The Blob is one of those movies that like define the decade, you know what I'm saying? This is a very 80s movie. I mean, this is such an 80s idea. There's no way that this could be a remake, right? But that's cap, because exactly 30 years prior to 1988's The Blob, we got 1958's The Blob. And if you're wondering how they possibly made The Blob in the 50s, not gonna spoil it, you just gotta go watch it for yourself. Like I said, the 80s been doing this, bro. Because our beloved romantic body sci-fi horror classic from 1986, The Fly, is also a remake from a movie from 1958, also called The Fly. Just like The Blob, if you want to know how they possibly pulled this off in the 50s, you just gotta go see it for yourself. Hey, ain't too many remakes that can be as good as the original, but some remakes are so good that you didn't even know there was an original.